here. Sorry, I'm going to invite Bobby, and then we will get rolling. Just had to change a couple of lineups so that I'm a little prepared. Okay. Wow, there it is. How did he know it already? How did he get the... Dude, how'd you do that?
I just went into your restream.
That is so funny because I literally just sent the link. As I clicked send, showed up. I'm like, oh my God, that's the sickest.
No, that's crazy. That timing is pretty funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, I just had to change a couple of things.
Yeah.
But dude, so they're playing this game in Chicago, huh?
I know. I have, in all honesty, I have Hendricks in my main lineup on DraftKings. For what it's worth, I understand that Ryan is the guy we're supposed to play. I'm going to take a shot with Hendricks here, and that's the way I'm approaching it.
Yeah, well, I have in my big lineup on DraftKings, I have Cole Irvin. So there.
Cole Irvin was in my big lineup, but I swapped. I made a little 2v2 swap and got Hendricks in instead.
Yeah,
Hendricks is going to be owned. They're both going to be owned, is the truth. People are onto the wind thing. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think, like I can just go through some of the things that I'm doing because
let's do it.
I really like I'm going to play Wheeler in season 65% of my lineups on DraftKings and half my lineups. I was going to put him. I decided to get different, and also you kind of need the money if you wanted to do what I wanted to do on DraftKings on FanDuel. So I wanted to get Atlanta as my main stack, the Dodgers as my secondary stack. In order to do that in a way that I liked, I needed to play someone other than Wheeler. So I actually am playing Kluber in my main lineup on FanDuel. And I think he makes sense on DraftKings too. I think there's upside. He did throw a no-hitter against this team last time he faced them, like for what it's worth. Certainly wouldn't expect that again, but they have let him stretch out a little bit more. It's really going to just depend on how he's going. Like you said with Montgomery and all that, it's pretty much the same type of situation, but he is able to go 6+ and maybe significantly more. Like I said, he did throw a no-hitter against this team last time. Good strikeout rate. He had 9 strikeouts in that game. And I think that at 8K, it was between he and Anderson for me. And Anderson's got the extreme hitters umpire. I like Anderson, but if we're going to worry about volatility with Kluber, we should worry about it with Anderson. And I like the matchup a little bit better for Kluber, even though it's a good matchup, obviously, for Anderson. So it was really just a toss-up between those two for me at the on FanDuel. Did you find yourself pitchers on FanDuel?
Yeah, I have. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I have 80% Ryan on FanDuel. That's what I'm doing over there, and I have and then I'm spread out. I have like some Anderson, some Wheeler, just to kind of finish that off. I'll get to this, Adam, in a second because I think it's an easy answer to that. DraftKings, I have. I'm like you. I'm a little heavier actually on Wheeler than you, but we're both pretty heavy. I mean, I have 75% Wheeler, and then I am biting for the Joe Ryan. I have like 40% of that, and then but I don't have that much Wheeler with Ryan, especially in big ones. I try to do that on purpose. Like I have in my bigger ones, I have Wheeler and Anderson, and then I have Wheeler and Irvin, and then I have one which I'm not allowed to say.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm just because you're gonna really get mad at me. So I'm not gonna say.
Oh, it's Marquis.
No, worse. So I have
Merrill Kelly. It is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Ryan Merrill Kelly no shot. So we'll see what happens.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, anything's possible. The other thing is that with respect to the hitting, I'm going to tell you right now, I forced my way out of 100% Dodgers. When I say that, I mean like all my builds got me 100% Dodgers, but I just can't do that in baseball. So I have about 50% Dodgers, and then I have a good amount of Yankees. I have a good amount of I have a decent amount of Phillies actually, and then I'm getting. It's a little lack of respect, I guess. I think I'm getting a little bit. Oh, not stacks. I'm getting some of these Mets.
Yeah.
I'm getting some JD Davis, 20 like minimum cost, pretty much at hitting fifth. And the one buy I'm not getting, as I got to do this. I got to get me some of that Atlanta. I really like that, so I'm definitely have to get me some of that.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I did say that I had the what's it called? He is my main lineup, it's Kluber.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a pivot with if there's a perfect 2v2 pivot with the lineup I built that gets me Dodgers and Braves the same.
Okay.
You can go down to Ryan that actually the 300 matters. So I have that in my secondary lineups on FanDuel.
Okay.
I do think that Ryan is completely in play over there. I think Kluber stands a little bit of a better chance at the 6 clean innings. Sometimes with these windy games in Chicago, we've talked about it before. It can occasionally, I think we looked up a stat and it was like, while home runs are suppressed by like 40% or whatever it is, something crazy like that, the singles were increased by like 25%. So just playing that angle, going a little bit different with, I think Ryan is going to be more popular than Kluber on FanDuel unless
for sure.
So I wanted to get a little bit different with my build, especially because I'm playing Braves and Dodgers. But it is kind of hard, and the Braves and Dodgers do overlap positions. So it's kind of like you sort of expect people to make some concessions. So I would just encourage to try and get a Muncy in with your Freeman, or try to get a Turner or Lux or something without Seager and with Albies or something like that. You know what I mean? Or play Swanson and Seager. Just cross over your utility spot with one of the infield spots, and I think you can differentiate your lineup a little bit that way.
I have a bunch of the bottom of the order on Dodgers. I have all the way down. I have Luke Raley, Lux, Luke Raley. I got them all.
Yeah. A couple of things these guys are throwing out. I love Raley. Triple J says he keeps getting Texas Rangers for some reason in his build. It's because they're cheap. And I actually have Willie Calhoun. Let me just see if he's in my biggest build. Yes, he is. Willie Calhoun is in my biggest build on DraftKings. It was either him or McCormick. I might switch that up to McCormick. I'm just waiting to see the Houston lineup before I make my final decision. And I do have another Houston player in that lineup, so it would maybe make a little more sense. But I think that Willie Calhoun is the most talented player that's minimum cost. But I don't think you want to be stacking up the Texas team. I don't mind any of the bats as 1- and 2-man combinations at all because they're so
cheap. To answer some of his question, I do have like a sliver of Garcia. I have like 4. I literally one lineup, and then the other guy you mentioned I have a little bit of 2, and I do have a 15% Bueller. I mean, considering that he's going to be in the optimal, it's probably a good idea to have him. So I.
What'd you say? Go ahead there.
So I got 15% of him. And to answer Adam's question, I think you were just about to do that. But I no problem with that at all. I mean, playing Hendricks and Ryan in the same lineup.
Right. So I would say it's a little different than yesterday, where it's unlikely. So yesterday, and by the way, I kind of wish they would have let Jax go a little bit. I know he gave up 3 runs early, but he also had 6 strikeouts in 3 innings.
Right.
He had a chance at actually having a decent enough game, even though he just was struggling a little bit. I think that the 4 points matters more in this kind of game if both pitchers were in like the 6K range and we didn't think they could go very long.
Oh, okay.
These guys have enough of a leash, especially Hendricks has the leash. Where if he's going, I mean, if he's going well, he could pitch a complete game. I mean, this guy led, I believe he was an all-star this year. If not, he led the league in wins at the all-star break. He's not like he's like a nothing pitcher. He's also come in the top 5 in Cy Young voting before. It's not like he's some nothing guy off the street. So that's my argument why you can do it today, even though, yes, there are other options. And I would probably, like, I have my Joe Ryans with Anderson or something like that. And I've got my Hendricks with Wheeler, but I don't mind if you want to go that route. I did end up getting to about 25% Chris Sale on FanDuel, on DraftKings, not on FanDuel. It's not that I feel great about it. I don't feel like there's a clear great SP2 except for these Chicago games, which people are going to go to. And I know Sale's going to be popular, but pairing him with Wheeler, I feel like you're going for ultimate upside while still being able to play some really good cheap bats. I think is a good way to go, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Here's we have the Atlanta lineup just came in. It is Contreras catching, not d'Arnaud, which I thought was going to be possible. Soler, Freeman, Albies, Riley, Duvall, Rosario, Swanson, Contreras. So that Contreras news does change a little bit for me because I was hoping he'd make the lineup, but I actually really initially I thought that I thought he, if you can go down to his price range and keep your Atlanta stack, maybe I don't need to play quite as much Will Smith as I did because I prefer him as a hitter. Well, I prefer his price than to Darno's. The difference between Darno and Smith and the difference between Contreras and Smith are much more significant, obviously. So that's kind of interesting. And there was always a chance to me that maybe Jock would have made it in the lineup, but he didn't. So we can cross that one off because I had him in some initial builds here. But what that means for me is I would like to get a Houston lineup as well. Did we get one? Yeah, we did. Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Tucker, Correa, Castro, McCormick, Myers. So they finally didn't play Siri. Castro instead of Maldonado is the big difference there, I guess. Pretty much the rest of it is the way we basically had it. We thought Marwin might make it in, but pretty close to the same thing there. I really think Wheeler is going to have a really good. I really feel good about Wheeler tonight, actually. I think I have Gavin Lux in like every lineup. Is that possible? Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of that.
Yeah. Hey, it makes sense to me, man. I like how they dropped all these Dodger prices, but it was not really like anything. It wasn't they couldn't even had to do with yesterday's game because they set the prices differently. But it was weird how they made him like Mookie was 64, now he's 6,000.
Yeah.
Turner was 6,000, now he's 57. That's kind of strange. Doesn't usually happen that way. We are going to put out here Rayleigh, Lux. Yep. I do like the what's it called? The playing, and I think he's going to have maybe a little bit of ownership. But this basically, with the way Sale looked, is not such a different matchup than it was yesterday against Rodriguez. So I kind of like that.
Say that one more time.
I just kind of like the idea of getting to. I'm with the idea of getting to a little bit of the JD Davis.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, is it possible that that Sale is just not right? I mean,
yeah, but even if he is right, it doesn't mean JD Davis can't hit a home run off of him. It also doesn't mean JD Davis at his low ownership, at his cheap price, on a tough position, might if he scores 5 fantasy points and the other guys score 14 in each, like a solo home runs equivalent game,
right?
You're not dead at all.
See some other questions in here. New York Love, yeah, I like the Yankees.
Yeah, I got onto the Yankees more. I had to force them into some of my builds, and I like it. I really found myself wanting to play as much of Atlanta and the Dodgers and Philly as possible. But I think the Yankees are the only thing I don't like about the Yankees today is if you would have gotten the ownership like yesterday, by the end of the day, had I realized it would have been quite as extreme as it was, I would have been all over the Yankees. Also, I probably would have been all over the Dodgers even more, which wouldn't have helped. But because of the Dodger ownership wasn't quite what expected to be, today we have the Yankees at pretty high ownership. The guy who will not be owned by anyone is Joey Gallo. He's too close in price to Stanton. Even to Judge, I would say he is. There's too many outfield spots. There's outfield value everywhere. And no one's going to play Joey Gallo in a lefty-lefty matchup. He's batting 5th. I would say that's a really, really good GPP play.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So we talked about, this is a good question. We talked about maybe kind of an off the board Red Sox thing. Did you get to any of that? I did not.
No, I didn't get to it, but I do have JD Martinez and a couple other one-offs from there, just not the full stacks.
Okay.
And by the way, if you're going to play the Dodgers, the thing that stands out to me, and maybe let me just see if the ownership agrees with me here, but I don't know if the ownership is right. I think I would just trust myself on this one. I think the one Dodger that's going to be obscenely owned is Seager, and then I think it's going to be sort of mixy for the other guys.
Okay.
I'm very happy. I think but I think like you might see lower. Like Muncy probably won't be much above 10%. It'll be a little bit maybe, but not much.
Yeah.
I think Will Smith ends up, probably around 15, 20%. Betts probably ends up around 20. Seager probably ends up in the 30s. Turner probably ends up in the low 20s. And then Lux, Rayleigh, and Justin Turner probably end up in the 10% to maybe below range. I don't buy that about Lux. I think Lux might get a little bit more love, but But so you can certainly play Rayleigh too. He hit one of the furthest balls I've seen hit at Dodger Stadium live in a long time, and it was like 60 degrees at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where did that come from? I mean, I knew a little bit about the kid, but he hit a ball like it literally was like, I don't know, 25 rows up in the right center field. And it was, I think it was like, they only measured like 450, 460 or something like that. But at Dodger Stadium, when it's like 60 degrees at the beginning of the year, it was like the fourth game of the year or something.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do. I love the idea if you are going to play some Atlanta Dodgers to get some Swanson in with your Atlanta side and then leave Seager out on DraftKings, just to mix it up a little bit, to get a little different with your stacks. You know what I mean? At least that's
people ask. So people asked about the Ryder Cup. I have no idea how to play that. I'm not going to do it.
It's a very heavy investment. I tried to look into it it's just a lot to try to guesstimate. And I didn't feel that I had the ability to do it in a way that was effective enough to recommend anything personally.
Yeah. I mean, you got to like actually figure out who's going to play. And it's like
a big thing.
And I mean, one thing that I did hear, if anybody, I mean, I'm sure everybody's hearing this, is that apparently like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth like played together like their whole lives or something. So they're going to play together and they're going to try to make every excuse to have them play together. I think everybody knows that, but I don't know. That's the only thing I got. That's really literally the only thing I have. But I mean, like if I play one in the $10 just for something to do, I'll let you guys know, but it's certainly, I'm not going to be providing any value added as far as my takes go.
That was a little bit how I felt as well about myself there.
I mean, okay, so you want, I'll give myself 10 minutes on this. Okay, so this is the way I would handicap the Ryder Cup, and this is just the way my brain works. So apparently everybody knows that Ian Poulter like is a totally different player when it comes to playing these things. So I'm going to be tossing him. I'm going to have X out of him. The next guy that's kind of like him, like if you don't like Poulter, you want the real guy, hard-nosed guy who's really competitive, was Terrell Hatton. So I'm not going to play any of him either. So then I guess the next thing I probably want to do is fade that Thomas Spieth thing. Okay, so I would start by fading those guys, and then probably the next guy I would fade is probably the guy that the British are totally going to lean on, which is Rory. So I would fade those guys, just presuming they're going to be more owned than they should, and then just kind of work backwards from that. That's my super advanced way of playing the Ryder Cup. And also, nobody wants to play with DeChambeau. Apparently, he's a terrible teammate, so I'll play him. Just stuff like that. That's the way.
The narrative is that Brooks and DeChambeau have worked everything out.
That's beautiful. Who's playing Brooks and him together? That's perfect.
There you go. They're old buddies. And it's funny though. They were saying that, and I'm just going. And I think Harris English was talking about it. He goes, yeah, it's not been good for golf. It's not good for our sport. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like probably like the best thing for golf.
Oh, for sure.
You want that exactly, like to a T.
Finau.
Any baseball related stuff, guys? Because I've got a few. You asked about the New York playing some marquee against your Dodgers. No problem, Project Mayhem. You can go ahead and do it. I wouldn't recommend it against the Dodgers in general, but I do think I think the world of marquee. So it is. Go ahead. Real Muto, great play. Love Real Muto today. Didn't get to him as much as I thought I would, but he's probably a good pivot off of my Will Smith. I just ended up going Contreras to get the extra savings, or Higgy in a combo thing. Cheapy catcher, I think your best bet is the prices around Contreras. I guess now, in the one stack I didn't get to, which is going to make me probably have to sweat for a lot longer than I want to tonight. I can't believe I'm even saying it out loud. It just feels wrong not to have them is Houston. But Jason Castro would be the cheap catcher you want. Minimum cost. I think that's what you should do if you're looking for a cheap catcher. In fact, I might have to just make myself one of the Houston Dodgers stacks. I do have a ton of Bregman, and a lot of Bregman, some McCormick, but I kind of like it actually makes some sense to get a little Castro in there, and then you can make sure.
Is McCormick's be back in the lineup today? I'm not going to have 25% of a guy that doesn't play today.
No, I could have told you that was unlikely to happen yesterday.
Well, you gotta. If you could have told me that, I mean, then I have to have shown up live. There's a lot of non-lazy stuff that had to happen for me to have gotten that information. So,
Well, a lot of non-lazy stuff that would have allowed you to be lazy. That's what it was.
However, I will tell you, the Waitress was really good. If anybody has ever seen the Broadway show Waitress, that was excellent.
Oh, really? It's good.
Excellent.
Nice. Houston lineup is Gurriel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, let me take a look at some of my lineups and make sure that. So I'm going out to dinner tonight as well. I just want to make sure that at least most of my guys are playing. Let's see. Yeah, look at that, all green. Everybody seems to be playing. No, the McCormick's not official yet. And then is Jed Lowry playing? Oh, I have some Oakland guys. I have a couple of Oakland stacks. Why do I have that? Oh, yeah. So here, let's do it. Let's do our bit. I have a couple of I got a couple of Oakland stacks. Don't you think it's a good idea to attack Flex in here?
I'm not saying it can't win. I'm just, my feelings. I don't think it's more a general thing that like all season long we've seen this with Flexen. Oh, we got to get. It's literally like they were treating him like it was like Matt Harvey, like this season. And the truth is, for the most part, you look at his numbers, you look at everything. Doesn't walk a ton of guys. Doesn't give up a lot of power. I just think there's better spots, but
okay. Yeah, there's better. That's why I only have like 2 lineups in it. That's all.
Boy, that Yankees Dodgers stack works out pretty good too.
It does, right? I'm looking at that myself actually right now.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any more questions or thoughts? I think we're okay on weather. Let's get it, Rody. Padres on my radar. Yeah, they've definitely been on my radar. I think it's more the Giants that I would prefer playing than the Padres personally. But I don't love either. Just both bullpens are good. I think it's okay. It's a totally fine spot to attack, especially in large field tournaments. I think it's a really good spot to attack because I think they're going to be very low owned. And they definitely, it's like one of those games where if this was, a different time of year or you didn't have all this Dodger chalk and everything, I actually think it would make a lot of sense. I think Tatis will still get a little bit of ownership, but I kind of like that because you look at the Giants and the problem everybody else does in DFS. And I think that these other touts and everything that where they're wrong is that they always just talk about these guys like, oh, we'll attack Scott Kazmir. I'm like, well, Scott Kazmir is going to pitch like an inning or two. You know what I mean? You're not attacking that. You're pitching again. You're putting your hitters up against a good bullpen. A bad bullpen is better than a good starter. That's how hard it is to win plates off of a bullpen game.
So I would like to share one screenshot, by the way, just so you guys know. DFS is hard, and although I've been doing really well, I'm doing well in other sports. It's not an everyday thing, and I just want to kind of show you. So I played my tennis today because I've always been playing the little tennis slates, and I always play 20 lineups in the lottery, and then I play like one in like the bigger buy-in. This is like a 180 with like 3K for first. I would just like to show you my lineup for today. There were 67 people in the tournament, and I got 66th place. There was one person that I beat, and there was nothing wrong with any of these plays. It's just the way it goes sometimes. So I know, and look, I'm not going to go, screenshot it's the way of life. I'm not going to screenshot every losing lineup I put out there. Okay. But just to show you every once in a while, it's not like an everyday thing where you're supposed to win. I mean, as a matter of fact, and if you're just kind of like min cashing and making a small bet every day, you're probably playing GPPs wrong anyway. If you're playing them right, you're probably supposed to go pretty much close to zero, big score, So this is my tennis for the day, and it happens to everybody. So that's just what I want to share with you.
Totally agree with all that.
Yeah. Padres on my radar. At some point, they're going to smash, but it seems like they've dropped off the face of the earth with respect to their offense, right?
Yeah, part of it has been somewhat it's matchups, but the truth is they were struggling a little bit against teams like Arizona. But they've been playing the Giants a bunch of times lately. That's not helped them any. Again, it's just a good team that has a lot to play for right now. These are must-win spots for the Dodgers and Giants. Every game is like a playoff game for these guys right now.
Right.
And they're a good team. Obviously, they're a great team. But also their bats did kind of just quiet down. And the truth is they weren't as good as they were to begin with. Like, people are overrate these guys so much because of the hype, because of Machado going there. I don't even think Machado is that great. Like, he's fine. He's a good hitter. It's nothing, he's not like this special guy or whatever. It's not like the Dodgers missed him.
All right, Kevin, I'll tell you what. I know you're strutting in late. Well, you know, before we go, we'll go through this again. Why not? So my top pitchers are Zach Wheeler on DraftKings, and I have like a whole bunch of them, and then I'm kind of all over the place. Like I like Joe Ryan, but he's going to be chalky. I'm trying not to pair Wheeler and Ryan together if at all possible. Aside from that, I like I have some Cole Irvin. I have a little bit of Luis Garcia. I have a little bit of Ian Anderson, but I think the key is in GPPs is try to not do the Wheeler Ryan thing. I like the Hendricks idea that Bobby came up with. If you're going to play that freaking win game, why not play the, I don't want to say better pitcher or whatever, but the guy with the bigger leash, and that certainly makes a lot of sense. He's going to be certainly lower owned than Ryan as well. And on FanDuel, I do have just a whole bunch of Ryan over there. Those are my top pitchers. You got anything different for Kevin?
No, I mean, I totally agree with what you said.
Okay. Garcia or Kluber, I think that both of them are don't have the hugest ceiling in the world, but I do think they both are good plays, right?
I'm not interested in Garcia particularly, but that's partially because I don't really know what they're going to do with him in this start. They don't really need to win, which I guess gives him like a little bit of a leash. But the guy basically has made it to 6 innings twice in his last 20 some odd.
I saw that.
And you got Kluber, who threw a no-hitter against this team the last time he faced them. Well, now that was before, but he threw 6 innings and they let him come back out in the 6th when he'd already thrown a healthy chunk of pitches. So I'm going to take the shot with Kluber personally, but that's all I got.
Okay. All right. I guess if there's nothing else, we're going to get going. Just a little stuff that's coming up. So we have Bobby and already put our first look NFL up there. Tomorrow,
I also posted my plays, my exact lineups, the way that they're currently constructed, my initial lineup builds.
Oh, wow.
Fun to check out. So check that out in my ownerships and in my plays of the day or whatever. They're both there. It's up there in case you.
It's for baseball or NFL?
NFL.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't built anything yet there. And then tomorrow we're going to have a showdown slate. We'll do a video on showdown slate along with baseball. And then Friday, Bobby and Rhodey will do kind of a more up-to-date football update. And then I'll be putting my MMA stuff up there, my tennis and LOL's right around the corner. I'll be messing around my NASCAR and all my stuff. And then Sunday morning, I think it was a good idea to do that 11:30 a.m. Sunday kind of last look at the NFL. What else? If those of you that are interested in that, your premium subscribers, you have access to my Survivor video. That went up today. We got some possible more esports stuff to announce. We got Chan doing esports and soccer this weekend. So for two guys that are just trying to manage this themselves, we got a lot of crap going up there. So enjoy.
All right. Yeah. Good luck, everybody.
Talk to you later.